I felt nothing but pain when I woke up. Pain in my arms and legs and in my heart. This crushing feeling on the inside was overwhelming, but I couldn't cry. Crying will make people sad. Who was it that told me that? What is sadness? I look around. What is this color that's everywhere called? I think it was pink. Different soft shades of pink covered the wall and pillow my head was resting on, and it was complemented by white furniture. That sounds right. The shelves were full of books and toys. I think all of this was mine, even the doll I was holding. But some things didn't belong. These black monitors and metal stand with a bag of water and another bag of some red stuff. I'm not sure what the stuff was, but it felt like I recognized them. I took that clear thing off my face and sat up despite the pain. Finding the white quilt that covered me was stained with red, and that red came from a man sitting on the floor next to my bed. He was holding my hand. His was stiff and cold. That red came from his wrists. Mister, what came out of my mouth doesn't feel like my voice. What did I used to sound like? I tried to shake him awake with my other hand, but he wouldn't wake up. I think he's in a sleep he can't wake up from. What was that called again? It was something I was scared of, I think. Scared. What did it feel like to be scared again? I pried my hand from his and pushed the quilt off of me. I noticed there were two books and some pens on the table. On the same side of the bed the man was resting. I picked up the white one first. The cover had an array of beautiful colors, but I couldn't remember what they were. It was just an idea that I'd seen them before. Those little images were on other books and paintings around the room. Opening the book only answered half of the questions I had. I recognized the little black scribbles in pictures. I knew that they were supposed to say something, but I couldn't understand it. It was the same for the other book, even though the scribbles were neater. Maybe I could find someone who could understand it. I took the books with me as I got out of bed. I tried to see if there were other clues to what was going on. The other books didn't seem as important as the other two I found. So I moved on to the big chest. No, it's a dresser, I think. I was surprised by the other girl suddenly appearing next to me. We reached our hands out to each other, but my skin was met with a cold surface. I turned around, seeing the room inside that frame was the same as what was behind me. So, is that supposed to be me? But it doesn't look right. Nothing about my body seemed to belong. Not the white hair, not my thin frame, Not the solid black eyes, not even the bright pink marks across my neck, arms, and legs. This can't be me. But the girl in that frame copied my every move. That had to be what I looked like, even if it felt wrong. Looking at it made me sick, so I moved on to the dresser. I opened drawer after drawer, only finding clothes in each one. All of them were a little too big, but it felt like they were supposed to be mine. This room was only giving me glimpses of who I am. Maybe I need to search another room or find another person. I changed clothes, switching the white dress to a pale yellow one and a white hooded jacket. I found another pink line going down the center of my body as I changed. The clothes fit loosely, but they would have to do. I found a bag in one of the drawers, so I put the books I found in it and slipped the straps onto my shoulders. I left the room, finding the rest of the house just as silent. I found another room with a bed down the hall. It looked much more different than the room I woke up in. The walls were a different, darker color. The bed was bigger. More shelves were stuffed with big books. This place looked familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. I kept trying to figure out why I was feeling like this as I looked around. The table had three more books that had similar scribbles to the one I found in the other room. I put them in my bag. That was when I noticed the frame sitting on it. Inside the frame were three people smiling at the world on the other side of the glass. One was the sleeping man in the other room. The other was a woman with yellow hair. And the third was a girl. Her skin and figure looked healthier. She had black hair that matched the man's, but blue eyes like the woman's. I didn't know for sure if that was me, but it felt like that was what I'm supposed to look like. I put the frame in my bag too, just in case. If I can find another person, they can tell me who those other people are. I think I knew the names of other rooms, a bathroom, and downstairs there was a kitchen and sitting room. The name of the room that had a table and chairs was just on the tip of my tongue, but no luck. Then I found another room full of books. At its center were some chairs and a low table. Something felt off about this room, though. One of the shelves looked like it was jutting out further from the wall than the rest. Something was there, but I wasn't sure what. I took book after book off the second shelf, not knowing why, and eventually I pulled out a green book, and the entire shelf moved back to the side, revealing a staircase going down. What was it about this that was making me shake so much? I think I've been down there before. Will I find someone there, or will I find something I don't want to see? I had to force myself to take the first step down. I went further and further down, feeling my chest get tighter with each step. I didn't like this feeling. It makes me want to run away from this place. But I kept going, no matter how much my body shook or how cold I felt. I need to know. At the bottom was a heavy door. The handle was hard to move. I had to use both hands to turn and pull open the door. The inside was dark. I had a feeling there might be something on the wall to my left, so I felt around until I touched the switch, then turned on the light. What? What is this? There were two big tables at the center of the room, surrounded by black monitors and metal stands. One of the tables had belts built into them, and the other had a glass box filled with some kind of water on top of it. All around the room were machines I didn't know the name of, and thick cables littered the floor. I went to the table with the glass box. There was a person inside, about the same size I am, but she was missing several parts of her body. I held my head. A sudden pain threatened to split it open. At the same time, I think I remembered something. I I met that girl. She was walking just like I was. She said that we were twins. Then what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened to us? The pain went away. I put my hand to the glass box. Why is she asleep in there? I don't understand. I don't understand any of this. Did that man do something to us? I don't know why, but I can't imagine him doing anything bad. It feels impossible. I jumped at the sudden bell that echoed in the room above. I could barely hear it, but it was something banging when the bell stopped ringing. What is that? I went back up the stairs and followed the noises to the large door. It looked like someone was on the other side. I could see their shadow on the other side of the foggy glass.
Victor! You son of a bitch, I know you're in there. Open up!
I didn't like that voice. I didn't want to open the door, but the way he was banging on it, he might force it open anyway. So I ran over and opened the door for him. That man wasn't the only one there. There were other people behind him, each carrying a metal or wooden rods. Their expressions changed when they saw me, and I couldn't place a name to it. The man at the front had his rod raised above his head and had to stop himself from swinging it down. The others behind him took a step back, dropping their rods. I tilted my head, unsure what to make of all this.
Uh, Aurora?
The man in front of me asked, his voice unsteady.
Aurora, is that really you?
Aurora, I repeated slowly. My voice was still dry and could only come out in a whisper. The man in front of me knelt to my level, water spilling from his eyes. Oh, Aurora, what's that? Who are you? The man looked away for a moment, his lips pressed in a hard line, and his body was stiff. What did that bastard do to you? He muttered. Mister, there are other people asleep inside, I told him, looking back at the house. But they can't wake up. Can you help them? I I'll do what I can, he answered. He stood up and turned to the group behind him. Someone called the police. Are you kidding? A man with wild hair shouted. We're an angry mob and you want to call the police? Carl, this might be what they finally need to find Sarah, a woman explained to him. We can figure out our story before they get here. Take me to them, the man told me. He followed me back inside the house. The room full of books was closer, so I took him there first and showed him the stairs. I watched him go down and waited. I couldn't go back down there. Instead, I sat down in one of the chairs to rest. It was a long time before he came back up, and he looked paler and had his hand clamped over his mouth. He looked to me, moving his shaking hand away. Do you know who that girl is? He asked as he came closer. He knelt beside the chair. I only remember meeting her, I answered. She said that we were twins, but I don't know what that means. Does the name Sarah mean anything to you? I thought about it for a moment. No. The man shook his head. Sweetheart, I called you Aurora earlier, but now I'm not sure if you're her or Sarah, or if Victor somehow made you a mixture of both. Were the girls important to you? Aurora was my niece, he explained. I only met Sarah a handful of times, but I worked with her parents there. How am I going to tell them? A niece. That must have been important if he's reacting like this. Where is the other person? In my room, I said, sliding out of the chair and planting my feet on the floor. Okay. He wiped his eyes as he stood up. He followed me up the stairs to the room I woke up in. The man stepped closer to the bed and just stared for a while, fists clenched and shaking. I stepped in front of him and the face he made. I really didn't like it. I couldn't look at him. Instead, I turned my attention to the sleeping man. You goddamn bastard, the man muttered. He turned his face to me with a softer look. You didn't find a note or anything, did you? I found these books, I said, sliding a strap of the bag off one of my arms and opened it to show him the books inside. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but I need to know. Let me see. I handed him the bag, and followed him out of the room as he flipped the pages through one of them. April 15th, he read. I promised I would stop this madness. As Aurora's health declines, it seems to be her only chance. I have to find a suitable candidate before she dies. Before her body begins to rot. The man put a shaky hand over his mouth. After a moment, he flipped through the pages until he found something. May 10th. I found another little girl who looked just like Aurora. Letting them meet was a mistake, but it doesn't matter anymore. I have to keep her body preserved. Replace Aurora's deteriorated parts with hers. I looked down at the scars on my arms. They aren't mine. How much is me and how much is her? June 20th. Aurora's new heart still beats, but she won't wake up. This was a mistake. I was a fool to think I could play God and bring my daughter back. I'm pulling the plug. To the parents of that other little girl, I'm so sorry. Aurora, you and I will be together soon. I could hear a loud noise outside. The man closed the book. Come on, the police are here. They'll be able to help you. The man held his hand out to me. I took it, and we walked through the house together.